Welcome to the Engineering, Emotions, and Energy podcast. I'm your host, Justin Wink. On today's show, we are going to be talking about defying death by doing an estate plan. Now, why would I go over something as mundane and boring as estate planning, where we're talking about getting the life you want to have by engineering your emotions and your energy? Well, for a very important reason, because if you can't even decide what you want to happen when you're not even here and nothing really matters, how are you going to handle deciding what you want to be happening and created in your life while you're here where it seems like it's so damn important? So recently got an estate plan done myself because mid-2019 got married to my wife, Alexa. This is my first time getting married. I'm 38 years old, so waited relatively long compared to many people, but there's also other people I know that have gone a lot longer without ever getting married. And my wife is about 11 years younger than I am, so I'm pretty far through my career. I've acquired some stuff like a house and a 401k, things like that. So we did the responsible thing before getting married and did the prenuptial agreement, which is something I'm not going to go into depth too much today. But basically, the main thing was, where does the house go and things like that if things should not work out. That's not where we're at now that we're married. We're very happy, and I like her. And if something were to happen to me, I would be very happy that she could still live in the house, have the house, and my other worldly possessions if I, for some reason, am not here anymore. And wanted to make sure that was written down explicitly so that things would go how I want them to go. Because if not, chances are she would ultimately probably end up with the house and the other assets, but would have to go through a little process called probate, which has time that's required to settle that out. There's also fees associated with that. And then also others can contest that. Like my family could come and contest and say, hey, Justin told me I should get that house, or I should get a chunk of this change because we're family. We're owed this. May or may not be true, but I wouldn't be there to argue it. So getting an estate plan makes sure there is absolutely no question of who gets what and when in the event that I am no longer there to make that decision and fight for what I want. So there's two parts I see in figuring out what you want to happen after you die. There's what would you like to happen, and then in some cases, the more motivating is what do you want to make sure absolutely does not happen, and that making sure that the people that I don't want to have any of my worldly goods not getting it was almost as motivating, if not more motivating. Don't want those fees, and I also don't want my family getting any chunk of it, because I've seen what they do with it. It doesn't make their life any better, and I know my wife would do great things, and then in the event I'm the one that or pardon me, if both of us happen to go at the same time, I've selected 3 charities that I know would do fantastic job making sure that money does good things. Because money really is, it's a flow of energy where you create value that comes to you in the form of money, and then you utilize that value out in the world by spending it on various things. And as the one that created the value, that brought the money in, you're the one that should decide where that value goes in the world, creating the world that you want to be living in, or the better world even when you're not living in it. So to me, this whole idea of what's it going to be like when I'm not here is a very beneficial exercise, because once I've thought about all the things that happen when I'm not here, I no longer have to fear that. It takes the fear out completely. And I've noticed that after doing an estate plan, figuring out what should happen if I'm incapacitated, what would happen if I die, that now it's really not all that scary because kind of that's all been thought over, worked out, got a plan for everything that happens. And now death is really boring, actually. So now that I've done this estate plan, I'm planning to live forever if possible. Some of you may have heard of immortalist philosophy that states basically this concept that we all die is mostly just a mass hallucination that we've all bought into, and that there's no reason why we can't live forever, because the biological reason for death actually has not been scientifically figured out. There isn't a actual reason why our lives have to end at any particular point in time. And if you ever read early parts of the Bible, the ages that people live to is much, much higher than what we're used to in modern days. And one might say, well, maybe that is just fanciful talk in the Bible, or perhaps maybe it was true. Maybe people did live a lot longer, because why not? So in addition to taking care of those that you love, I've been just amazed at how many friends I've talked to that have kids, have a wife, have assets, and they have not yet done their estate plan. They don't have a will. They don't have a living trust. They don't have anything. And it's just on there, I will intend to do this. So to those friends and to any of you that are in that situation, get it done. Just make it happen. Face the fear. It's your way of defying death by looking it right in the face and going like, I'm not afraid of you. I know exactly what's going to happen. And then you can just go back to really enjoying life in the present, knowing that you've got things taken care of. And one of the objections is maybe not knowing how to go about doing an estate plan, because it's paperwork, right? It's contracts. And if you're like me and you got a job that is not being an estate law attorney, it's not going to be something that you're used to every day, which is why this is one of those where it's good to bring in an expert. And I talked to 2 attorneys before settling on one, and they were both great, very similar. And one I talked to, I asked them, well, how do updates work? And they said, well, it costs about $250 to $700 every time you want to make an update. And again, being under 40 and planning to live forever, I figure I have a lot of changes coming up in my life, and I'm probably going to want to make changes to this estate plan of what goes where, all sorts of things like that. So the other attorney I talked to, which is California-based, which is where I am, Drobny Law Offices, they said, well, we include updates as part of our package. So I went with them. They made it really, really easy. And the other thing was they were also very knowledgeable about some other aspects of estate planning, such as if there's a special needs beneficiary, which is something that we had to consider because of my wife's family. And so remember, each situation is a little bit unique. So you want to find someone who's been there, done that. It's no big deal, because again, when the shit really goes wrong, you don't want to be worrying about, hey, did they actually consider all that needs to be considered for what's going on? It's kind of like going to get a knee surgery. You want to go to someone that's done thousands of these, and they've seen every problem 100 times, and you're kind of no big deal. You don't want them trying it out the first time, because this is not just your life and your death. This is the life of those you care about. And again, maybe you don't have a wife, maybe you don't have a kids, but you have an impact you want to leave on this world that can go well beyond what you did while you were here in your physical form. So I'm going to include a link to the attorney that I used. They have a great website that has a lot of information on how to go about estate planning, that no cost, things like that. Again, it's something, going to just have to do it, make it happen. And once you do it, when you make it, you'll realize how much better you feel, that there really is nothing to be afraid of, that it's not that scary of a topic. And it really can free you up to put your energy into the here and the now, because you've already gotten that part of life, the death part, taken care of. So you can live your life, enjoy it. And that's all we got for this episode of the Engineering, Emotions, and Energy podcast. You can hit me up on Facebook, send me your suggestions or questions, and also find me at justinwenck.com. That's WENCK. Thank you.